Hello everyone, this is Daniel and welcome back to yet another part in this character modeling tutorial series. So you may notice in the bottom right corner of my screen that quite a lot of time has passed since my last video. It has been so long, I don't remember even where I left off. I got busy all of a sudden and I couldn't really continue to work on this project for a while, but I really wanted to continue it this time, and I think like so far the character is going pretty well. So finally I managed to return to this project, and I hope to record a few more parts throughout the coming days. Before we continue here on this project, I quickly want to show you something that I believe I showed you before already, but I did improve it a little bit more since last time I showed you. So this is a little preview of what our character might look like in the end. I think I mentioned that I'm considering to rework the helmet because it's a bit too low poly in my opinion. But this version, I believe, uses already some normal maps. So this is a little demonstration for how, you know, the normal maps are going to make a pretty positive impact on the whole scene, and you know, the light setup and such. Yeah, will be very interesting to work with. You know, you can do some cool stuff here with with this shader. We'll be looking at all these things later on. But yeah, just to get you excited a little bit, if you're still working along here, hang in there. We'll get there soon. Alright, so we have everything set up and we're ready to continue working. So I see we did a very good job naming all of our objects, at least for the most part. And that's very useful because now that I'm coming back to this after a long time, I'm not too confused. And that's good. So let us continue to work on the lower half of the body. It's always annoying to create a new object to set everything up. Do we have any modifiers on this? Just a mirror. Okay, that's great. So what I like to do is I like to just continue to work off something I already have. So you know, you just select the face maybe here, you copy it down to here. So just click on those, select them, Shift D to copy, and then with this in selected, I press P, and then you separate the selection. Now you have this separated, and we have to quickly think about what we want to be part of this in first place. Let's see, so this is separated, I believe. We could also go the other way around, start with this and reduce it down. There's lots of ways to approach this, but I do want to merge these two together this time. So we're probably going to look at about this much in one object, maybe go even to here, we'll see. So there we go, I separated this, and this is now going to be our next object. It should already be down here. So let's just rename that quickly. Lower body, low maybe. And we'll begin here. So we can enable clipping here in the modifiers, so then whenever we move this to the center, it will snap together. You can't pull it apart anymore, so keep that in mind. If you want to pull these apart, if you mistakenly do something like this, just disable clipping for a second, and that doesn't work. That's strange. I thought that would work. Ah, I know what it is. I know what it is. Here it is. Here it is. We have symmetry enabled. So we're going to disable symmetry, and now it should work as I thought. So you see, you can just pull it apart or have clipping on, then they merge together. So I guess I'll be editing that a bit in post to make make it seem like I figured it out in a second, even though it actually was like 5 minutes or so. But anyway, let's move on. So yeah, what I like to do is I just alt click on these loops, and I move them as a whole. I have the snapping tools enabled for most of the time, so it just automatically snaps to wherever I need to be. And I just go around, I rotate the whole loop. You see how it is slightly bent like this, and I want to straighten out. What I like to do in this case is I tap R twice, and then you can kind of drag over in this direction. Then you can sort of straighten it out. If you imagine there was an arc and you rotate it, I'm not sure if that makes sense, but yeah, that's one way to straighten that out. So now we have here our first little thing in our way that we need to take care of, and I'd like to try to somehow align my topology to it without having like without breaking the flow too much. So I'm just going to try to get away with something like this here, which is very quite simple, honestly. No special topology here, but we'll see if it distorts maybe our object too much. We'll have to just see a bit later about that. So, you know, you just extrude around. Am I going to say the same thing for the next half an hour? You know, just extrude, move. Well, you probably will get in the flow sooner or later, and it will be all very quick and easy. So I'm going to switch to object mode quickly. I just want to hide some of the objects that I don't want to include for this part. So, you know, and I might as well change my material. What are we doing again for? Do the low polys have color? Okay, I guess we can just assign the same color as this one. So it's material 002, so maybe we'll just assign all of this to that. That's, you know, messy. We'll clean it up later. What was I saying? Okay, so we hid a few objects, and now we can maybe, you know, we still lack here two loops. Instead of doing extrusion twice, I like to go all the way first and then use Ctrl R to add a loop in between, and you know, that gives you this. I think we did this before. To smooth out the topology, I like to use the slide and relax brush. Maybe let's add a few more cuts down along here before we begin, and then we can just, with the slide relax tool enabled, hold shift and brush over this, and it should give you some good results. And since, you know, we're losing a little bit of volume, I want to go in here and add a shrink wrap modifier. We will select this as our target, and that just helps snap you know, our new geometry to our initial high poly model. You have to be careful though, because let's shift this a bit up. It's a bit difficult with the other tool. So I quickly switched here. You just have to be mindful of the fact that the belt here is a different object, I believe, so it won't snap to that. But we could, oh, actually I was wrong. It's one object, so it will just snap onto it without a problem. But I think down here we have some different parts. Actually not even. Yeah, so it won't be too much of an issue. But if the parts were separated, then, you know, you'd have to think a bit about that and do it manually maybe in that section. So let's hide the cape. It's a bit in the way. Now we can quickly deal with this part. I'll select just the entire part around here with Alt and click. Then we'll just extrude it up a tiny bit. Because of the snapping, some parts kind of go far away, but that's okay. We can fix it up easily. And you don't have to really do anything fancy here, like be super accurate or anything. The normal map is going to capture these fine details, so as long as we, you know, have captured this roughly, it will be fine. I think I might go a bit more into detail, but yeah, I don't think you have to worry about this part too much. So again, if I have to fill this in, what I like to do is I start with the part that I know for sure. So I know that this loop in the middle, it should go, you know, it's a center line in the symmetry area, so I'm just going to connect this because that makes the most sense. Then I can split it here and connect another line that I know for sure, because I want to keep this line in the center. Let's just fix the position of this a little bit. And then I think you can already see where the rest kind of is supposed to go, which I would say is like this. Now, I think it's still a bit too rough after all. Let's just quickly correct these, but I think I might want to add a bit more geometry after all. So here's another feature we can use in this situation. which is quite handy. I'll select this entire area. Since we don't have the inside selected, I'll just go F3, type inner, and that gives us this. I mean, it's also up there, I think, in select loops, select inner region. You can add a shortcut if you want to. And I'll hit the I key, which insets the entire area. Now we have a little bit of an issue here in the middle, so let's just delete these few points. We don't need these, we don't need these. And then we just have to stitch it up again. With control click you can select a line that connects, you know, from here to here. So we'll just move them together, and because of clipping they snap together nicely. Now I'll select this whole area again and just move it a tiny bit and confirm, just so it snaps all to the surface. And now I see all my points again, so now I can go in and adjust them manually a bit better. I think we might have... no, that looked like something was wrong here, although there might be... yeah, look, here is the thing. Good, I noticed that now. This is the case I was talking about before, where with two different objects, and you know, you're snapping to this object only, so it doesn't snap to it here. I think I will do this in one mesh, so I've decided that I want to do this in one mesh. That's why I'll just let's see how to do this. Well, I have the previous version saved anyway, so I'm just going to apply here some modifiers now, which means that we won't be able to go back, but if I need this part and these modifiers again, you know, I'll just go back a few versions and get the data from there. So we'll just go and apply mirror, apply subdivision surface, apply this and this, and in here we'll apply this as well. Then we can easily merge these together, and we can merge this to the body. And then you see that this will now magically snap to the rest here that it didn't snap to before, simply because now it is part of the object that we're snapping to, which is very nice and exactly what we wanted. Yeah. I'm really not too concerned, to be honest, with this area. I think, as always with retopology, the only thing you really want to be concerned with is the outline or the silhouette. So by adding two, I'll select this loop and disable my snapping, hit G twice and slide it down a bit. Just want to make this a bit soft, so that it's not like a fully sharp edge, and that should be enough. I am a bit concerned though about those buttons on the top, because those are a bit larger than I thought at first. So it would be a bit too obvious if they're missing, like in the silhouette. It really needs those. So I think I might go in and try to do something about that, which is a bit tricky. So what can we do here? I kind of want to avoid having to do this separately. It would be just a lot more convenient if we could just do this in one object, in one mesh even. So you know what? I think I'll change my plans here. Do I? This is tricky, you know, this is the difficult part about retopology. You have to make these kind of decisions where, yeah, you only will notice if you were right or wrong down the line, when it suddenly, yeah, catches you off guard, basically, when you are in trouble because of some decision you made earlier with topology. I was thinking, should we maybe separate the entire plate after all? I think that's so tricky. No, we'll keep it together. Let's keep it together here. We'll keep it together because I mean, if you separated it, you would be able to rig it as a separate piece and, you know, have a little bit of sliding. That would be nice, but at the same time it adds a lot of complexity that I'm not really looking for in this project. I mean, you know, you would have to deal with all the intersections, and so I would rather in this case have it sort of stretch a bit in an unrealistic way, because, you know, it's actually like a metal piece, but still it will end up stretching together with the cloth below. But I think it's okay because I mean, it's a stylized piece in the first place, so yeah, it will be fine, I think. So I don't see much of a better way of doing that other than just to take this area and to inset it as we did before, and then with this selected you can hit Ctrl-Shift-S and then press 1. That will kind of make it to a circle, but I think you have to adjust it a bit more just to get it a bit more even. We can do that again, so that should make it a bit more circular. Yeah, you know what, I think we'll have to switch up this inner topology here a little bit. Let's see. So this goes roughly here, this goes roughly here. We'll just go ahead and copy now this this segment. So select it all. You can do this in wireframe easily. Just brush over this with C, circle select, and then click and brush over this. Then I'm going to copy it to down here. Maybe let's rotate it this way, and we'll copy it also up here and maybe rotate it that way just for consistency. And now let's see how it all connects up. So let's do that part as well. As always, start with the parts that you know. I don't know how to all connect up just yet. I don't have a clear image in mind, but that's why, you know, you start with the parts that you know, such as that this edge will most likely stay connected in this direction, and then you'll suddenly start to see all these other lines, like, alright, so maybe these connect up like this, and possibly we can just keep it like this and connect these here up to make it a new face here, a new plane, and here we can go on in this direction, since we have another loop to connect up to here, and now we probably should just add 2 in here like this. And so really this complex situation could be solved after all. It's basically like a puzzle. It reminds me of those Sudoku things where you also start with the things that you know, and you know, the more you do, the more you will see the answer. Now what should we do down here? I'm a bit hesitant to connect it up like that, because we would still need, yeah, it's kind of yeah, adding too many points down here that we don't need. Maybe we could do it actually. Also, I think that would be nice to have it like this. In that case, if we did it around here. Could do something like this. Then we even have this little edge in our topology. So let's give that a try. I'm also thinking it would be nice if we could make a cut here. Maybe that helps us a little bit. Or maybe it doesn't. But I really don't want to add like another cut here. I feel like that's just a waste in this section. So maybe we just do that. I don't really like it, to be honest. What other options do we have? Well, I feel like we have to make a cut here. Okay, I think that's going to be the answer. We have to make a cut here. Just give ourselves a bit more points to play with. That allows us to at least complete this loop straight without interference, which I feel like is important. I always like to have one loop down the middle that is fully connected. So you can see now you can cut it in the middle like this. So I think that's important. And you know what, let's just go and subdivide a few more times. I think that will be the most straightforward answer. I think we didn't do this one yet, so yeah, alright, so that was a bit of a complex part, but you see, it's a puzzle that we had to solve. Now we can smooth it out a bit. The rest should kind of fall in place. I mean, now it's just about adjusting the parts to be smoother, and I think I might disable the high res stuff for a second so that I can focus on the low res, and yeah, the materials are a bit distracting here, but yeah, it's okay. Yeah, we need to do some cleanup. I think we decided that we separate this. You can separate points like this, by the way, by using the V key, and depending on where your mouse is, it will cut in different directions, so whether you hold it here or here. And so now we have to think about how we fill that in. Do we need these points? Yeah, we do, since... No. Huh? Okay, so this is the circle, so yeah, we do need these points. I mean, ideally would split it up. Let's put this away for a second. Let's split it up with bevel, Control B. Or maybe, oh no. Maybe we'll just split it up like this. So this goes here, this goes here. So I guess it is very useful to be quite fluent in, you know, modeling, because then it's a lot easier to try out different topologies without, you know, getting lost. I mean, I can imagine that this is now a bit complicated for beginners, because I keep changing geometry in difficult ways, and it's kind of, you have to have an image in mind to what you want to achieve. So I apologize for that, but I think this is now a better approach. You know, you just have to find something that will work in the end. It is a like an optimizing problem. It's similar to UV layouts and those sort of things, where you just have to experiment with it for a while to figure out what the best solution is. So I think, you know, I'm still concerned that it will give us too, you know, I don't like how there's like more dense loops here. They should be all even. But I mean, we don't want to go too low poly either. So I mean, it might not be too bad of a thing to have a bit more points to work with. But yeah, it's in situations like this where you really appreciate the shrink wrap modifier, because it just takes care of all the snapping for you. So you can just work even without the reference mesh, without the snapping. Okay, that was again a bit complicated, but I think you saw what I did there. I had to split that loop over there and connect this back up. You know, we'll smoothen this out a bit in a second. So we deleted this one, delete edge loop, then fill this up with F, and now we have it same on both sides. Now here's the last thing. We could do something like that, but that's again a bit of a strange way of filling it. Or we could connect it like this, which is maybe better, which seems better on first sight, but let's see if that's true. I'll go to sculpt mode, assign the material quickly. I'll also copy the shrink wrap and apply it once, so that the points are just not actually somewhere else. And let's just clear our face sets. Face set from visible will do. And so then we have just a bit of cleanup to do here, and it's a bit difficult because we can't just brush over it, or I mean it's not going to help too much. So I have to select these edges, so these three, then these three, and these three. Then I will use my loop tools, and I'll hit space, and we can hit relax as well. I'll do the same for all sides. So I think I explained this before, but spacing just makes the spacing between the points even, and relaxes the curve itself. So we can do the same around here. That will just help to even out basically all of our lines and help clean up the mesh. Yeah, we have to be a bit careful because here we're yeah, shifting around the points of the circles that we actually tried to create. But it is not too difficult to fix that later on. So yeah, we'll go with something like this for now. Could go in here and just do a few more of these. Relax them, space them out evenly. Maybe align some of these edges. I mean, in the end it will depend on these circles. I mean, these have to be circular after all. So let's select these one more time, hit Alt-Shift-S and 1 to circularize. So they're not quite even yet, but you know, the rest is just fine-tuning. Something like that should do. Now let's bring back our high-resolution mesh and see if we're in the right place. That will be another place where we end up correcting it all a bit. So here we see our circle, and we'll just try to make these lines touch the circle on all sides. Do that for the other ones as well. Yeah, quite honestly, I'm still a bit I'm still debating whether it was the right decision to merge this all into one mesh. You can see how merging different parts into one can make things a lot more complicated, but it can also, I mean, as soon as you bake normal maps, it's a lot less visible than you would imagine. You will be quite surprised later on. But it also really helps with rigging. So I guess in the future, ideally for you, if you work on a project or something, you have to consider like your workflow and the following steps to make a good decision on that. Let's just apply mirror for a second. In object mode, apply mirror, apply shrink wrap, and now I'll do this. Select X symmetry and do that. I think we had to do that just to get proper calculation here. So yeah, it seems that it is actually more relaxed in this state. So I wanted to get this a bit more in this direction because I don't want to smooth this out. So I think we have to just do this manually here. Just push these out a little bit more than the tool suggests to you. And then we'll just go back and re-enable the mirror by, you know, delete 1/2 again and add the mirror back. And we might also want to have our shrink wrap back. So we'll put this here. Now we still have a few more areas here to smooth out. All these surrounding parts, they were affected, and we have now more loops where we didn't have any before. You know, this kind of part is also one where you can only do it once you have applied the mirror modifier. Otherwise it doesn't let you really do it. Yeah, so we'll do the final smoothing later, but I think we'll need one more cut here just to match the resolution somewhat. Seems like some of our points here are snapping to the wrong side of the mesh, so we can pull them up. And let's just pull these all down a little bit because they tend to go to the top here. Alright, let's just take a look quickly at this without... Alright, so we have some more work to do here. This is not very good. But I have an idea. So I don't like how, you know, this is stretched here in many ways. But I'm thinking that if we just connect this up, first of all, we get a loop around here, which helps already quite a bit with the flow, but then this part obviously doesn't look very nice. So we'll just delete it, and maybe we'll delete a loop around here, which we have too many of anyway. That will help to pull these down. And then we just maybe do something like this. That's not what I wanted. I wanted this to be the... Okay, so I think we just have to go with what we had before. Okay, sorry for not explaining every step here. Kind of focusing myself. But yeah, I think we need these 3 loops here after all, and that's a lot of loops. Well, I guess connect this up, and no, we don't need it after all. Wait, we're back to where I started. Now this one goes here, and we don't need this one. Wait, this is wrong. This one goes over here. There we go. Alright, I feel like we went in circles a little bit, but I think this is what I wanted. I kind of wanted this point to line up with this line here. It's just that, you know, if you have these sort of imperfections in your mesh where different patches intersect, I like to line them up instead of having them in different places. It's just one way to help keep it all smooth and symmetrical. You know, you can decide to have this loop or not. Maybe I'll delete it, it's a bit too much in my opinion. And now we go and smooth out the rest. There we go. So yeah, it was quite complicated, this part, but I think we found a pretty good solution. Like now it actually looks quite smooth to me. It looks quite even, there are no too big artifacts, it's all good with the flow. Maybe you want to push around a few of these lines a bit more manually, like this. It looks a bit nicer. But yeah, we're pretty much done with this section. I guess the only part is the actual buttons themselves. So here we can just select these faces and extrude them up, and they'll pretty much snap to the button by themselves. You could in object mode quickly duplicate this and apply it, then they're all in the right place. You know, in the end, what I also like to do is to just very slightly brush over this with some sort of smooth brush. I mean, it will a little bit, let's just use a normal smooth for this. Nah, that's maybe not the right one. Maybe very weakly. Like it will distort everything a bit, so we have to do some fixing of that afterwards, but at least it helps you not to overdo anything, and it just evens things out a little bit instead of yeah. Since the normal map really does do a lot, it's not super necessary to have all the lines perfectly lined up. In fact, sometimes it's even better to have the mesh a little bit smoother than the original. If you make the lines too harsh, like it doesn't look too good in the silhouette. So yeah, that's that. I think we're pretty good now. We will yeah, maybe we'll come back at this and brush it up. The polish of these kind of things can take a long time, but yeah, I don't want to bore you too much with all of this. Although, I mean, the series is already this long, so what big difference would it make? So yeah, the shading looks nice and smooth. We can quickly look at the soft shading only. We have a few little artifacts here, but it's nothing too serious. The normal map should be able to easily handle that. And I'm just curious to see one thing quickly. If we add a weighted normal modifier, and for that we have to enable auto smooth, see how that can already fix it quite a bit. If you're interested in what exactly this modifier does, look it up, it's quite interesting. It's a nice feature that can be very helpful. But I mean, I wouldn't really use it in this scenario, since this kind of calculation isn't too common in game engines, I believe. Yeah, I mean, you could import your normals, but whatever, it's getting too complicated. Let's set this back to flat shaded for now. Should we go on a little bit here? I mean, the upper part seems quite easy. We just extrude this up, scale it a bit, be careful not to make these merge in the center, and then we just go around and snap these to the edge. And again, this is the trick or the approach that I explained already several times. You don't want to go like bit by bit by bit. It's way easier if you just make it a large jump to the next area, and then you make subdivisions, because then these subdivisions, they will all be in place already and basically be done without any additional work. And yeah, here you can also see well, here is again a similar case. Do we want the belt in the silhouette? If so, we actually do have to line these up to the belt so that we can make the belt pop a little bit. So let's do that. I guess it would make them all a bit nicer. Yeah. See, it's really tricky actually, quite honestly. I haven't 100% found the answer, so maybe I should just tell you about this so that you can maybe do your own research on this. But you have to make this decision whether you want to join meshes together in your low poly version or if you want to keep them separate. And there are some, you know, big advantages and disadvantages to both sides. For example, I think we need... no, we should get away without another loop. So if you merge them together, of course, you'll have a much easier time in rigging, because the objects won't intersect; they will just nicely deform together. And yeah, on the other hand, as for the downsides, you will end up having, you know, it's going to be a texture across this. So this line that separates the belt from the body is going to be pixelated a little bit. So depending on your resolution, this edge might look a little bit, you know, soft. So that's the question, if that's a good thing or not. I mean, if you have a line perfectly lining up here, then you could maybe do some tricks with your UVs and adding lines in between. I mean, I know you guys always bring it up in the comments. I'm sure people will bring it up here, so let me just mention it. I know there's the Guilty Gear method where, you know, you do your UVs and so on and so on. But I mean, yeah, it's not all that easy. Let's just put it that way. And yeah. So if you kept it separate, on the other hand, it would be way easier. You just have your lines right away with the double-sided mesh, or what is it, the inverted hull outline that we will be looking at later. You can also just apply different materials to it, and the line will be just harsh, of course, because there are two different meshes. Yeah, so there you go. There's two options. Let's just quickly, you know, I didn't really get, we didn't even do this side. But yeah, anyway, let's just select these couple loops here and hit relax a few times, and maybe we shouldn't hit space. But we'll just relax them a couple of times. And we didn't really touch this part, so we should just snap this onto here and we'll just relax this again. So yeah, there we go. We could... do we need this? And one last round here. Yeah, we'll do. You know, I mean, game engines are quite good today. You don't have to be too worried with your poly count, in my opinion, but you do have to worry about your workflow. If you will be able to process all of this. Let's be careful not to get any double points. Alright, that looks fine. Yeah, because if you have too many points, it will be very difficult to handle it after a while. So just make sure you don't lose control. I think we'll hide the body for a second because it's in the way, and we just finish this upper part by extruding a bit more. It's a bit annoying how you always have to realign it to the center line. And we'll just go all the way to there so that the upper body can nicely intersect with this section so that we don't see any empty spots. Something like this should do. And as always, after you have it roughly in place, just relax the line a little bit, and then we add some loop cuts. I think we need to add something around here. No, we don't need more than that, do we? Like, just for the sake of evenness, I feel like I want to add another one here. Yeah, I mean, it's not too big of an issue. Let's just add it and it makes us feel good. So there we go. That looks very nice and even. We even have, you know, the little bit of a silhouette where it becomes visible that there is something out. It's not just flat. This can actually make quite a difference in the silhouette, that you actually see this little bump here, and it will also show in the outline. So I think it's worth to do these kind of details personally. So yeah, that is the first part. I think the video has already gone on for long enough, definitely more than half an hour, I believe. So we're going to stop it here. Let's just enable all of our meshes again. Where is this from? Oh, that's the high poly stuff. So body. All right, let's hide this. And there we go. That's as far as we got. It's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Pretty good progress. You really start to see what the character looks like. Some minor adjustments. Let's see how many more minutes it will take me to end this video. It's so addicting to fix details. Just all has to be perfect. Okay, there we go. Yeah, quite happy with this. And I think I saved it over my last one. Whatever. I wanted to save a new version. Let's just hope we didn't lose any information there. But yeah. You can see now, by the way, how the helmet really is a bit too low res compared to the rest. I kind of want to aim for something like this. And compared to that, it's just a bit too low. You see all the points. I mean, it's not horrible, but it would be nicer if we can do something about that. So, moving forward, we'll be continuing this lower body in the next video. We still have a bit to go here. There will be another tricky part down here. The feet might be easy, depending on how much we can reuse. But yeah, stay tuned. I'll be back soon and talk to you next time.